The people of YouTube, I say, what's going on? Welcome to the Friday NBA Strategy Show,
I like
presented
that
by
intro.
Yahoo Sports. It was pretty good, right? That was off.
I like that,
That
man.
was a
Yeah, that's
freestyle,
good.
man. I freestyled that.
I like that. Yeah, improvisation.
I'm on my game right now, and I've only had one full coffee. Looks like it's gonna be a decent Friday. Got
Well, the
myself.
cocaine had something to do with it, I would imagine.
No comment.
Josh doesn't do cocaine. I'm joking.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Dave Lochran joining me for a lovely 8-game slate. I think we can handle 8 games in an hour, right?
I think we got this.
I say an hour because I assume that we won't get started until 10 o'clock.
Yeah. We can handle it.
We should be fine, right? So
We'll
chat,
find out.
now that you're slowly popping your way in here, let me know who saved your night last night. Yesterday we talked about the people that absolutely submarined you.
Yeah.
Let's start Friday off on a positive note. Who helped you out the most? Who
Well, I
was your
won the
saving
Showdown
grace?
slate last night. So I thought you were talking to me.
Oh, that'll work. Showdown what?
The
NFL?
NBA Showdown slate it was I chopped 15,000 a couple ways. So or a few ways.
How many's a few?
7, I think. I
Okay,
think
because
it came out
three is different.
what?
Because if it's 3, that's a different
Yeah.
number.
It was 2,500 each on 15K, but we'll take it. It was I had a bad main slate,
Okay.
so I threw 2 entries into the Showdown for like $30, came out 2,500. We'll take that for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that'll
it
work.
was there were a lot of stack corrections happening, so I just, had my eyes on it, and I think I was up by 4, ended up winning by half a point.
That's all you need.
That's all you need, baby.
Let's see some of the saving graces. No one, Doncic, Terrence Mann, Jared Allen, Monty Morris, Alex Len on FanDuel,
Jared Allen was solid.
Frank Jackson, Drew, Giannis, all over the map. Not JaMychal Green, unless you didn't have him.
Oh, that's one of the reasons my main slate was not great. And honestly,
Same.
I didn't even have
Wow.
Giannis in my like single entries, and I just thought I'd go balanced here because I hated the Atlanta value. Like, you know what I mean? That
Right. Yeah.
I couldn't handle some of the value that was there. And everyone generally did well, but that doesn't matter. Like, it's always the worst when you're like, dude, I hit 7 of 8 or I hit 6 of 8. It does. Then you didn't do well,
No.
and
Yeah.
and that's what happened with me. I missed completely on JaMychal Green, and in that lineup I had a 6K Laurie Markkinen. So despite having a 4% owned Bledsoe, and a pretty low owned Porzingis, it didn't make a difference.
Yeah. I had a lot of JaMychal Green. I still got bailed out, but didn't help. That's for sure. Jack off. It says it's not written the way that I'm saying it, but that's how it's said. Who's ready to Myles Garrett smash this slate? He's gone for a while, right?
Did you see it?
Yeah. I mean, like, I wasn't watching a football game. Give me a break. But I clearly saw the clips.
Yeah, I mean, that was outrageous. But Mason Rudolph saying it was cowardly and Bush League, you were chasing him around the field too. So just throwing it out there. I don't think you can absolve Mason Rudolph of all of this blame either. Like,
No.
of course, when you swing someone's helmet at them, thank God the lower part with the padding hit him, because
Yeah, that's bad.
you'd have split his ass open.
It's real bad.
Yeah, but Mason Rudolph was clearly attacking him. And by the way, with Pouncey, I got no issues with what Pouncey did. I'm just being honest.
Now I don't even know what you're talking about now.
Oh, he swung at him a few times and gave him a little kick once he was on the ground.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm guessing Garrett's going to be taking a break for a bit. Can't imagine he's not getting. I mean, I'd be very surprised if he played for the rest of this season.
Yeah.
But we got to treat it like it's not like walking up to someone on the street and hitting them with a helmet as well. Like, there's some added elements to this that make it. I don't want to say tolerable because that's not the right word. You can't hit people with a helmet, but we can't act like this happened in a library either.
Yeah. No, that's not good. It was really bad, as a matter of fact. like he might get. I saw what's his name, Tom Pellisario or whatever his name is, like the officiating guy, the officiating guru. Can't remember his last name, but saying that he might get 4 games. I'd be surprised if he got less than 4 games or even 4 games. Honestly,
I assume he's done for the season.
you would think so, yeah.
Feel like you can't. No matter how heated up you get in the moment, you can't rip the other guy's helmet off and try to hit him over the head with it. Well,
No.
and actually hit him over the head with it.
Rudolph tried to pull his helmet off first.
Also true.
But again, like I am what Garrett did was like lunacy, okay? Insane. But Rudolph, like after that hit, which sure it was a late hit, but it wasn't anything egregious.
No.
Tried to hold him to the ground and pull. I don't know. I just think it's funny that Rudolph, of course, he got swung at with a helmet. But the fact that Rudolph's like, oh yeah, man, you're just bush league and that's cowardly. Like, all right, bud. I would have just not said anything.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, we've got NBA to talk about. Last night's 1-1, the $11 150 max on DK, pulled up on the screen right now. Another decent day for the 150 maxers. Top 5 spots all went to guys playing 150 lineups in this contest. Number 1 lineup was 4-man Pels stack. Frank Jackson, JJ Redick, Giannis, Derek Favors, Alex Len, Eric Bledsoe, Kelly Oubre, Drew Holiday. That all looks pretty good to me. I didn't know that Alex Len got up to 7% on DraftKings.
How much was he?
3,600.
Wow.
Okay, so let's take a look at it. I've been looking at just the 150 maxers and their exposure in relationship to the field. So Alex Len, for just the people that played 150 lineups, was 4.4% owned. So he was not a key play of the guys putting in 150 lineups. That just happened to work out a bit. Frank Jackson, on the other hand, 14.6% owned by the 150 maxers. He was 8 for everybody else. So a little bit of a focused boost there. We had Giannis at 50.5% for the 150 guys. He was 42 for everyone. Interesting that Kenrich Williams was not in the winning lineup, but he was 41.9% owned for the entirety of the contest. Got off to a really good start too, but 42% for everybody. He was 55% for everybody that played 150 max. So seems like Kenrich Williams was the guy for the inner circle of DraftKings.
After the first quarter, you would have thought that if you didn't have Kenrich, you didn't even have a shot of cashing.
Oh, yeah, I was really happy about it. I had like 70-something% on FanDuel, so I was like, let's go, buddy. Let's go.
Yeah.
Highest scoring player on the slate last night, Luka Doncic, 74.5, but ultimately did not matter for the Mavericks. Giannis, 71.5. That's a lot of both of those dudes. Let's go ahead and see how the boss man and Adam did. Relatively neutral. They were both right around the field on Luka. Adam, a little bit under the field on Giannis. Alex, a bit over the field. Drew Holiday, monster exposure for both of these guys. Adam went to 88%. Alex went to 63%. You guys can't see anything that's on my screen. Over. Try that on for size. There we go. Who else do we have big swings on? Alex played 83% JJ Redick. That's twice the field. Adam went to twice the field on Eton Moore. They both got bit by the JaMychal Green bug. 8.5 fantasy points last night.
Yeah, it was just downright brutal. And he had closed out the last 2 games. Unfortunately, did not close this one out. So he lost like an extra 6 or 7 minutes that he would have seen normally.
Yeah, that's that entirety of JaMychal Green is really annoying. He was 36%. That's the same amount that he was owned by the 150 maxers. So relatively neutral, just didn't work out. That happens from time to time. Not much you can do, you know? Not everybody Not everybody plays well every night.
Nope.
Surprise,
And
surprise.
Paul George played only 25 minutes or 24 minutes. 24 minutes. What a ridiculous return to and debut for the Clippers this guy had.
Hey, welcome back, PG. 49.25 DK points.
Yeah, I mean, he had 24 real points in 16 minutes, finished with 33, 9, and 4 on 10 for 17 shooting. Just a monster game. 5 turnovers, but who cares, right?
Yeah, for real. Did Alex get to Dennis Smith Jr.? Good question. The answer would be no.
Oh, wow.
I mean, to be fair, no one did.
No, I think it was because Alex had mentioned that he was a value play that he was considering.
Yeah, that was a tough one. The minutes
Yeah,
that
I
he
mean,
got were not really minutes that he should have gotten.
You're not always going to get to those guys, but fair question.
Yeah, for sure. See who else in that salary range was he around?
I would imagine the Ingram news took him off of Dennis Smith and other value guys because so much opened up as a result.
Yeah, why would you ever play Dennis Smith Jr. when Frank Jackson is 8% owned?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know Frank Jackson's going to be on the floor.
Yeah,
Dennis Smith Jr. could have played 8 minutes. Who the hell knows? Alex had 48% Frank Jackson, so there's your Dennis Smith Jr. shares.
What did Jackson finish with?
34.25. He went for 10x.
Damn.
Yeah. So that'll do it. That'll do it. 3 guys went for, I just named one of them. 3 guys went for 10x or more on DraftKings. Can you name the others? Frank Jackson is one.
3 guys went for 10x?
Yep.
And we need 2 others?
Yep.
I don't even know if I should bother trying. Who was it?
Dennis Smith Jr.
What did he have?
He had 32 fantasy points. He went for 10.2x. Frank Jackson, the highest multiple for last night. And
was
then
Kenrich one of them?
No, Alex Len.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Then you get into Magruder, Favors, Oubre, Colby White. Well, that's a look at last night. I think we can keep it moving here. Shout out to Yahoo Sports, the presenting sponsor of this show. I am dropping the link to Emacs Cash Building Blocks article. Check out the bottom where you can find information on signing up at Yahoo. Use that link. Use the promo code AWESEMO. Get up to $30. And then YSRPs, your Yahoo Sports rewards points. You do CSV imports now. They have no management fee contest. They're running their big contest every night, whether it's basketball or NFL. It's called the Baller. Highly recommend it. I play the Baller every week for the NFL. Just a really great place to be playing DFS. And if you're playing a smaller volume, I think it's perfectly suited for you. So I recommend checking out Emacs Cash Game article and taking a look at all of the information that we have there. Free content for today. Awesemo's live blog, where he is consistently making updates throughout the night with injury updates. That will be free today. You can find that at awesemo.com/NBA. The NFL injuries article is free for today. And then the NHL lineup builder, which can be found in the tools menu on the screen. Head to lineup builder, go to NHL. That is also free for today. Well, we've got an hour and 15 minutes and 8 games. I think we can do this.
Let's make it happen, baby.
Let me see if we have ownership, which I'm assuming we do. I would be wrong for right now, but that's okay. We can get started anyway. Charlotte Hornets, Detroit Pistons, 107.5 implied total for the Hornets, 111 for the Pistons. We'll start on the Charlotte side. Devontae Graham expected to stay in the starting lineup. 7,200 on FanDuel, 7K on DK, $26 on Yahoo, and who the hell knows on Fantasy Draft because it's unable to export their CSVs right now. So who knows? We've got Graham, we've got Rozier, we've got Bridges. Does anything stand out to you from Charlotte?
Not particularly, no, but I don't think so. Did you say you don't have the total or you do?
The total on the game?
Yeah.
218
you know,
and a half.
218 and a half. Okay, I missed that. Yeah, 218 and a half. and then what? 107.8, 111. Okay. Yeah, from the Charlotte side, yeah, the other day Rozier was great. I was under the field on Rozier, so that wasn't phenomenal. Maybe a bad decision, but with the way Devontae Graham was playing, and then he was inserted into the starting lineup, I just had some hesitation there.
Sure.
But yeah, nevertheless, it didn't work out. Graham's price tag has come up. Rozier has come up. I don't have an issue with Rozier, but as you're going to see as we get throughout the show, I did the Early Bird podcast with Dan Strafford. You can check that out. We drop that late every night around like 10:30 or 10:30 Eastern. There are a lot of very, very viable pay up spots at point guard and shooting guard today.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough for me to fall in love with any of these mid-range guys. This team as a whole, like, could you make an argument for PJ Washington? Yeah, you probably could. Could you make an argument for someone like Malik Monk? Yeah, I guess you could. You know, coming off a decent game, but he's been a very, very low usage guy. At least not where you want him to be this season. And he's coming off 2 solid games, but can you rely on that rebounding? Can you rely on those assists? I think the answer to that is a no. So no, it's not a Charlotte team that I'm in love with, but yeah, I could see you getting to small amounts of guys like Rozier and maybe Washington.
Yeah, I don't mind Graham for 7,200, which is not something I would have thought that I would say before we started this show, but I think that's fine given what's around him. Shooting guard's kind of tough. Lots of expensive options today. Otherwise, I'm going to have probably 5 to 10% of Terry Rozier, 5 to 10% of Miles Bridges, and that's pretty much it from Charlotte.
Yep, that's where I'm at as well. I don't think it's a team that you need to get to with any abundance today.
Pistons side, Blake, I'm fully expecting to be playing here. I have no reason to suspect that he wouldn't be. Do we have any guess as to how many minutes Blake Griffin is going to be playing today? I put him in for 26.
I was going to say, I don't know. Played 24 in that first game. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he played 30, honestly. I'm not projecting him for that, but it wouldn't be a huge surprise if he did. But yeah, I have him. I believe I have him at 27. Let me just check here. I have Blake at 27. Yeah. But I really wouldn't be surprised if he played more, like, at all. That wouldn't shock me. And I think in tournaments, it's actually not the craziest idea where he's 7,100 on DraftKings to get a little bit of exposure there. Because if Blake does get 30 minutes, if he does see a decent amount of playing time here, then that price point's really friendly against a bad Charlotte defense. Yeah. So, I mean, look, he's been a great per minute guy. Never amazing, but always like a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy for his career. And now you've got a really friendly matchup. 30 minutes from Blake in this spot would probably be pretty solid.
Yeah, it'd be really hard to get away from him if he were playing 30 minutes. We went for 1.35 FanDuel points per minute in that first one. 7,100 is going to be very viable if he can get there in terms of minutes. But otherwise, he's pretty much off the table for me. This feels like a good Andre Drummond spot. Even with Blake back, 8,600 just feels too cheap for him on DK. I don't mind paying up for him on FanDuel, although, there's also Towns and Embiid and Gobert and Vooch and Thomas Bryant, maybe Time Lord at 3,600. So Goga is back. But on DK, I'm more than okay with running out some Andre Drummond at that price tag.
Absolutely no question about it. I'll give you a couple reasons why. No team this season is allowing more points in the paint than the Hornets. They've been slaughtered in the paint. And now you've got somebody like Andre Drummond that leads outside of Giannis Antetokounmpo, Andre Drummond leads the league in points in the paint. So he's second in the league in points in the paint per game. Not a big surprise at all. It's a Charlotte team that's also been hammered on putback points this season. You can find that in the play type data. Really struggled there in terms of points per possession and points. And that's not a big surprise, just given that they are not a good rebounding team. And if that's the case, you're going to give up a lot of offensive rebounds to the opponent. You're going to turn those into points. It feels like a really good spot here, and I don't have any issue whatsoever getting to an Andre Drummond at this price point. It feels like this matchup suits him really, really well.
Agreed. This feels perfect. They don't have unless they're going to be trotting Bismack Biyombo out there for more minutes. It's either going to be hope Cody Zeller can do it or Drummond should eat.
I mean, even so, Biyombo's a 6'8" center.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to be a great day for Marvin Williams at the 5.
No, I can't imagine it is. And I was actually surprised to see that the Hornets are only allowing the 15th most rebounds to opponents this season. But there's just, and I know that, of course, somebody like Cody Zeller is a decent enough player, but there's still nobody that can contend with Drummond around the basket. Just not even a chance.
No, he's nasty. I'm fine with a little bit of Luke Kennard, 6,600 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DK. Not as appealing, but ultimately, I mean, it's a great matchup. Charlotte's been putrid defensively, but these guys are all sort of priced up a little bit from when Blake wasn't here, so there's not a lot of value to be found for the Pistons.
I don't think there is either. For Drummond, again, he leads the league in putback points. He's second in points in the paint per game. Charlotte's been crushed in both categories. Just those two stats alone put him in a really favorable spot. Once you get past that, though, you're not gonna find anybody that you feel like is a priority here. Derrick Rose will play. Of course, Bruce Brown was active the other day, and he has no injury designation here. So even if Reggie Jackson of course he's out, but now you've got Frazier, or you still have Frazier. The backcourt is in large part healthy. And like you said, a lot of these guys are priced to a point where you're not going to feel comfortable with them. Even Markieff Morris, with Blake back, you'd feel more comfortable with him at 3,900, not 4,700.
Griffin will take, if not most, of Drummond's points. If you want to loose, play Drummond. Couldn't have said it better myself. As we move on to Orlando.
That actually does. I'm sorry. Please state evidence with your claims, because I just don't understand how he's going to take all of his points away. I mean, I could rattle off a bunch of reasons why he won't, but whatever.
Magic and Spurs. Game that's really unappealing from a DFS perspective. 107 implied total for the Magic, 103.5 for the Spurs. $33 Vooch on Yahoo looks okay. I don't mind him on FanDuel and DraftKings. I would imagine, based on the way that everything is currently constructed, without any without any news, I don't know if I'm going to have exposure to anyone in this game.
I forgot it was on the slate for a minute. Like, seriously, forgot it was on the slate. When we did the early bird, I'm not sure I mentioned anyone from this game. Oh, I did. I mentioned one guy. If a lot of value doesn't open up, I could see some reasoning to sprinkle in a little bit of Terrence Ross. He's cheap. He's the type of guy that can heat up off the bench, and when that happens, he can get 15 shots up. So Terrence Ross at a cheap price doesn't seem like the craziest option to me. But aside from that, I don't believe there's anybody here. Aldridge at 6,900 some days might be in play, but not on a slate like this, where wait till you see how many big men you can pay up for on this slate.
Right. Like, I see nothing here. I mean, Orlando's really good defensively. San Antonio does the exact opposite of things that are like quality from an offense perspective nowadays. DeJounte Murray is still just not playing additional minutes. If you think that you know how to shake out like who the guy that gets an extra 4 or 5 minutes is going to be for the Spurs, because they just rotate through Derek White and Rudy Gay and Bryn Forbes and Patty Mills and Trey Lyles, Marco Bellinelli could do it. I don't see a single thing to like here. I think we can literally skip this game.
And by the way, just throw this out there. With Blake Griffin on the court alongside Drummond since the start of last season, Drummond is still a 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy. He's still rebounding at 25% and has a 23.5% usage rate. So, of course, it's not the same as the astronomical totals you get from him and rates that you get with him with Blake off. But Andre Drummond was also 10,800 last week. He's now 8,600. So there's no question Blake's return is heavily baked into Drummond's price point.
Yeah.
Wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise. When good players then share the floor with other good players, they kind of got to give a little bit back. I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah.
Houston Rockets, Indiana Pacers. This one's going to be wild. So I've got Rockets 113.75, Pacers 106.25. Still no Jeremy Lamb for the Pacers. Still no Miles Turner. Goga is back. Houston is just in shambles. I don't know what else to say right now. They are half of a basketball team given their injuries. They're starting to look like they're like the Warriors, but with the good players still there. We might not see Russ tonight. Up in the air.
I know.
He's going to sit out likely either today or tomorrow. I have him in for right now because who the hell knows? If he's out, I mean, you guys know what to do. Fire up Chris Clemens, I guess. But let's start here. I'm assuming he is in because I don't know what else we can do. James Harden is 12-5 on FanDuel, 12-3 on DK. Whew. And yet Russell Westbrook is 8,400 on DraftKings.
Yeah, that's insane. Honestly, I don't know if I get to Harden today in cash at least. Like 12-5 on FanDuel is a lot, but 12-3 on DraftKings is insane.
Yeah,
and I'm not even saying it's not justified, right? Like it's not that I believe that at all. No, of course not. Dude has 70 plus fantasy points in 4 of his last 5. Sure, I'll game log watch for a second because all you need to know is when you're dropping 70 plus on a nightly basis, your price is going to rise significantly, right? He's attempting 25 shots per game this season. He's attempted fewer than double-digit three-pointers once all year. He's attempted 16 or more in like 5 of his last 6. It's nuts. Or 4 of his last 6. It's crazy. The volume is absolutely insane. But let's break this down for a second because I say this often, and it's not a cop-out, but like if I saw a tournament-winning lineup with James Harden in it, I wouldn't think twice about it, right? I'd say, well, it's James Harden. On the other hand, I do think it's going to be difficult to get to him. You have, on DraftKings specifically, Anthony Davis at 96, Towns at 10, Embiid at 92, Drummond at 86. I'm not equating their production to Harden's, but there are some guys that are too cheap. I think Harden might be, you can even say he's fairly priced, but he's definitely not too cheap.
No.
The question is with Russell Westbrook, look at these numbers over his last few games, man. They are just it's an aberration of what we've seen in the past, and it's kind of appalling. It's upsetting to see this, as a matter of fact, Josh. He's still shooting a lot, but how does a guy like Westbrook see such low rebounding and assist totals? We've never seen anything like this for 3 straight games.
Sure. But at the same time, he's still 15th in fantasy points per minute. So
I love him.
Of course his numbers went down. That's what happens when you play with James Harden.
I love him tonight, but I think it's worth breaking down because people are going to make the argument, well, James Harden struggled early on, right, in the season. Well, that doesn't mean shit because James Harden was still shooting 30 times per game. Like, it's not like his usage and the volume had changed at all. So what happened from Westbrook having double-digit assists in 4 straight games to start the season, averaging 10 assists per game to start the year, and now over his last 6 games, he's been virtually invisible.
Oh. It is awkward, I guess, is probably the best way to say it.
Saying it doesn't.
How has
it doesn't
Russ been? Just
doesn't concern you at all. Like
no.
At that price, I guess it doesn't really matter. But I don't know.
I mean, what do you have him projected for?
I still have him at 48.
Okay, yeah. So I've got him in for 35 minutes. 1.34 is his rate for this year. At 35 minutes is 47 DK points. That's someone you play at 8,400.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying then I'm not playing Westbrook at all.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's very strange and probably shouldn't just be overlooked that the production has fallen off a metaphorical cliff.
Trying to look at his game logs right now.
I'm pulling up some tracking details just to see, just to kind of see what we're getting from him. Like, I would imagine his drives per game with okay, 17 per game through his first 4. And then since the start of November, he's averaging 15.7. So not a big drop off there. Right. And we've obviously seen the shooting's been pretty consistent. That's not my concern. Potential assists is an interesting one. And if you have anything you've pulled up, feel free to shoot it out, cut me off, and then I'll keep going afterwards. So through the first, here it is. Through the first 4 games, him and Harden both were averaging, on the season, him and Harden are both averaging 15.9 potential assists per game.
Yeah.
Westbrook led him 21 to 18 through the first 4 games. And now over their last 6 games, Westbrook is at, I'm imagining this is going to be pretty revealing. Westbrook is down to 12.8.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. So I guess what you're saying is that the early season numbers are unsustainable.
Yeah. So like as of right now, all of his shot numbers where he's shooting on the floor, they're all the same. His effective field goal percentage is the same. His rebounding rates are down on the defensive end. I don't think that there's a single person here that is shocked that he's getting less rebounds now that they're not tailoring their scheme for him to get those rebounds. That makes sense, right? We're not surprised there.
No, but it is weird that he averaged 17 rebound chances per game through his first 5. Over his last 5, 8. Less than half per game. That's still surprising to me.
The big thing is his assists are down. And
his rebounding is way down.
And which I expect, just like I expect the assist numbers to go down. Houston plays more isolation ball than any team in the league. Like, his assist numbers are going down because they don't assist as much. Yeah, he's not Russell Westbrook. We're not importing Russell Westbrook from the Thunder. The things that he used to do at any number, like as much as he wanted to do, he's just not afforded those things any longer. So he's never going to be that like 10K plus guy, I don't think, on DraftKings. But at 8,400, I am in for the days that he is.
Let me pose a counterpoint.
Sure, hit me.
The big thing for me here is not that I at all even remotely expected. Oh, and by the way, let's not forget Clint Capella being out from a rebounding standpoint should immensely help Westbrook if he actually plays.
Yeah.
We know that he's probably going to sit one of these back-to-backs. But for me, you're right. They assist less. I get that. But on a team whose alternative playmakers, and listen, Clint Capella, he relies solely on guys like Harden and Westbrook to get him the ball. And then he rebounds. Ben McLemore, Austin Rivers, PJ Tucker, Daniel House. Like, these are your other players on this team. So I do think to some extent Westbrook's numbers should come back up to at least a reasonable level. Now, of course, playing alongside Harden changes a ton. But outside of Westbrook and Harden, there's literally nothing here.
Very true. This guy with the Drummond Blake comment is killing me. Harden's a big baby and he needs the ball all the time. James Harden is the most efficient scorer in the history of the NBA.
Yeah, to be fair, that big baby just beat the Clippers in a healthy, comfortable win. They've won what? I think they've won like 5 straight right now. So, yeah.
He was 100th percentile, 125.9 points per 100 shot attempts. That is the best in the league at a 44% usage rate right now. You should never want anyone else to shoot the ball when you can do that.
Yeah. I still think Westbrook will see a bit of a rebound here.
Oh, though. For sure. But yeah, Every single team in the league should want James Harden to have the ball and try to score because he does that better than anyone else in the league. He's the greatest scorer in the league, and it's not close.
Yep.
Now, that's not the same thing as being a fantasy play. These guys have salaries and stuff, and it will negatively impact potentially other people. But that's the dude you want if you're trying to score. That's for sure. Do you care about Tyson Chandler tonight? 3,800 on FanDuel, 4K on DraftKings. No Clint Capella today, potentially not tomorrow. Out with a concussion. How many minutes can Tyson Chandler realistically play today?
24, 25.
Okay. I gave him 22 to start because I don't know what to do. They could dust Ryan Anderson off for some minutes. PJ Tucker could play 48 minutes for all I know. I gave him 38. I'd be very surprised to see PJ Tucker play less than that. He played 44 and a half on Wednesday.
It actually makes him a semi-viable play despite being such a low per minute guy.
Yeah. What do you want to do with Tyson Chandler then at 4K?
Oh, I'm perfectly fine rostering Tyson Chandler. He's not one of these lock it up value plays. I wouldn't say that much, but he played 10 minutes against New Orleans, 16 minutes against the Clippers. I think he can get to 24. I don't think that's completely unreasonable, but I also am not so confident in that I'm just going to load up on Tyson Chandler everywhere. Clint Capella, unfortunately, played most of that game. So it's really tough to tell. What I do know, however, is that Tyson Chandler came in when what's his name? When Capella left with, I think, 4.5 minutes remaining. And Tyson Chandler closed that game out. They didn't go super small with like Tucker at the 5, which we've actually seen them do in the past. He closed that game out alongside Harden, Westbrook, Rivers, and PJ Tucker. So given that, I think he probably gets around 24 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I gave him 22. If I gave him 24, I'm still probably not all that interested. I mean, let me just give him those minutes now. Let me put him at 24 just to see what the impact is. I always like to go light on guys that are going to be getting that jump.
Sure.
So that when I open it up to look at it for the first time, I'm not shocked and appalled that something crazy happened. If I put him in for 24, I would guess that I got maybe 3 or 4%, and I would guess that he's going to be owned a lot more than that. I don't have a ton of interest in Tyson Chandler.
Okay. I have him around a fantasy point per minute, so I'll likely have more than you, but not an overwhelming amount either. Like if I ended up with, I think I'd probably see around 15%. That's just me guessing, but that wouldn't be a surprise to me if I came in close to that number. He's not a per minute guy, but on this team, I think just given the pace, right? I think that plays pretty heavily. The pace of play on this team is insane, and that's at least enough to say, all right, he probably fares a little bit better. They play at the second fastest pace in the league, and their defense has improved a bit, but I still don't think anyone's sold on them being an elite defense. The Indiana D has been solid, but I'm not worried about Tyson Chandler scoring 20 real points.
No, neither am I. If Tyson Chandler scores 20 points, I'm really
You better hope you have.
Yeah, that's James Harden threw 10 really nice lobs.
100%, dude. Yeah, of course. Look at Steven Adams and Clint Capella have been so reliant on guys like Harden and Westbrook forever. What are you doing with Austin Rivers if Westbrook sits?
I mean, I'm going to have a crazy amount of Austin Rivers if Russell Westbrook is in. He's the flat minimum on FanDuel.
If he's in, you're going to have a crazy amount.
Who the hell else is going to play? They got to run out 40 minutes across the board. He played 34 minutes in the last game. No Gordon, no House with Russ.
Yeah.
I have him in for 32 minutes. He's the literal minimum on FanDuel and 3,700 on DraftKings. Like, he's one of the better values on FanDuel today, even though he stinks.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a Cam Reddish thing. By the way, what did Cam Reddish finish with yesterday? Anything decent?
I I didn't notice his name on lineup study before, so I truly have no idea.
Me neither. Which means right there probably nothing great happened. And are you surprised? I mean, this is what you get from these type of players. Cam Reddish had 9 points, 1 assist, and 5 rebounds. So
13.5 FanDuel points.
Yeah, spectacular performance, pal. I think. Oh, Chicken Dinner says Cam was ejected. All right, there you go. Even if he was, matter of fact, what he had 13 fantasy points in 21 minutes could have been worse. Point is though, Josh, if Westbrook's out, you take somebody off the court that has the second highest usage on this team, and then Austin Rivers, as much as I hate playing this guy, becomes a virtual lock.
0.54 FanDuel points per minute so far this season for Austin Rivers. He's terrible, but minutes are there. If Russell Westbrook's out, I think Chris Clemens really needs a look. Ben McLemore is going to need to be paid attention to. He's just as bad as Austin Rivers. There's just going to be a lot to go around here. I don't know if they're dusting off Isaiah Hartenstein for this one. Maybe Thabo gets extra minutes. I gave Ryan Anderson 10 minutes because I don't know who else. I didn't even know he was on the Rockets till this morning. So on FanDuel, I'm in for Harden at 12.5. I think there's going to be enough value out there to save me. I'm very much in for Russ, although less so, at 9,500. PJ Tucker is probably like the easiest guy to get to from the Rockets just because the minutes are 1,000% there. He could play 44 minutes and, not submarine you. But he's 5K on FanDuel, 4,500 on DraftKings. Can't go too crazy. There's a lot to like from Houston, and if Russ is out, there's even more to like.
Yeah, and it's no tiny thing that Nene still isn't back yet, because he's actually somebody that could have taken 12 or 15 minutes.
Yeah,
off the bench. D'Antoni's always liked him in some capacity. So how many guys? How about this before we move on? Because this is one of the most important spots on this slate. How many guys do you think get on the court for Houston tonight?
10.
You see it? Okay, 10.
Yeah.
And do you think that PJ Tucker gets some minutes at the 5?
Yes. By the way, that answer is probably 9 if Russ is out.
Okay. Is Ryan Anderson still on the team?
Yes.
Okay. If you mentioned that, I apologize. I was reading chat.
I just said I didn't know that Ryan Anderson was still on the team about 30 seconds ago, and you reacted to that statement.
For some reason, I thought you said Hartenstein.
I also mentioned him.
Yeah, I'm good at making it seem like I listen, aren't I?
I mean, at the time, yeah, you showed yourself at the end. Yeah, look, the Russ news is massive for the rest of the value, but minimum salary Austin Rivers, no matter how bad he is.
Tucker might really play 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
Yeah. I mean, Harden played 44 and a half minutes and Tucker played 39 in their last one, and that was with Russ on the floor. Nuts. Let's go to the Indiana side. Goga back. So I think there's a lot of value to be found here. Pace up spot for Indiana. I think Sabonis looks fine, although, the price is sort of where it should be for him. I'm more than happy getting $8,200 Malcolm Brogdon, $7,600 on DraftKings. I'm not super worried about the Houston defense. Aaron Holiday is $500 cheaper on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. I think that's still viable. Goga might be worth a punt play. 4K on FanDuel, 4K on DraftKings. Not entirely sure how many minutes he's going to play coming back.
Sabonis is having a
20,
really. Sorry?
I gave Goga 20, by the way.
You gave him 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just see here. So I wonder how long Turner's out for. Do we have a timeline on Miles Turner?
Been out for like 8 games. He's dinged up.
Yeah. I meant, do we have a timeline, like how long he's going to be? Because they keep ruling him out day to day.
Sure.
So I don't know. But yeah, he's sidelined. Man, Sabonis has been spectacular. I love what I've seen from him this year, and I actually think at that price, especially with Blake Griffin back and Drummond not a top priority, Sabonis does come into play for me, even at a relatively hefty price point. He's one of the very few players in the league this season who has 20+% assist rate and the 20+% rebounding rate. Okay, actually, assist rate came down to 17%, but I believe if you were to run it with Miles Turner off, um, his numbers just get even better. 24% usage. Essentially, in Domantas Sabonis, you're getting someone that's a very capable passer, a fantastic rebounder, and a good scorer. He's third in rebound chances in the entire league this year, and he's averaging 9 potential assists per game. So those are some numbers that stand out to me and make him at least worth talking about every slate with how talented he is, and with no Clint Capella in there, old man, the archaic Tyson Chandler. This could be a spot where the Domantas Sabonis goes off in what is a massive pace up spot for the Indiana Pacers too, right? That's got to come into play with the Pacers being a bottom 5 pace team. Wow, 8 additional possessions per 48 for Houston, Josh.
Yeah, this is a big one for Indiana, and it's not like Houston's defense is any good too. So yeah, I'm gonna be getting to Sabonis, although 9,500 on FanDuel is a little cost prohibitive. I love Brogdon. I like Holiday as a value play. Goga is in play.
I agree that's prohibitive, by the way. That's quite a bit.
Yeah. But
Brogdon's
Brogdon's the thing I like the most here.
You do like Brogdon a lot. Yeah.
8,200 on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's a cheap price point. I think we had to expect to see a little bit of regression. That early season production wasn't really sustainable.
No.
But he's still a very solid player. Not to mention his minutes last game, he only played 25. Was there a reason? I don't remember. Was there a reason he only played 29 against Orlando in a game that was decided by 7 points?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. Because that might be important given the fact that he's been a 32 to 35 minute guy pretty much all season up until the last 2 games.
Yeah, I've him in for 34 minutes right now. That might be something I need to dig into.
I don't think I can. I actually, let me see. I may have put him. I had him at 34 and then I moved it to 32 because you know what? I don't know. I know that he played 32 against Detroit, 35, 39, 31, 33, 32, 35, 35, going from recent back to the start of the season. You're probably right in putting him at 34. Maybe I'll meet you in the middle. I'm going to go 33 here.
There you go.
Still don't have him as a phenomenal value, but that's on DraftKings.
Anything else from this game?
Do you have any interest in the wings? I'll ask you with Jeremy Lamb out. Anyone like TJ Warren or anyone else stand out to you?
Not as a standout. I assume TJ Warren makes his way into like roughly 10% of my lineups, but
okay.
And I assume like that's basically where his ownership ends up being.
Gotcha.
Relatively neutral. Ooh, another rough one. Memphis Grizzlies, Utah Jazz, 103.25 implied total for the Grizzlies, which I believe is the lowest on the slate. 110.
Conley revenge.
110.75 for the Jazz. I'm sure Mike Conley's plenty happy to be there.
Yeah, I know. It's the silliest. Like, do you really think he'd rather be in Memphis?
I doubt it. So for Memphis, nothing? I don't have anybody that I want to play at these prices.
Yeah,
Jaren Jackson for 5,500.
When we do the NBA syllabus today, it's very possible that when asked worst team to target, Memphis may be the one that I choose.
This is a slight pace down spot against a team that limits fantasy points on a per possession basis by 9%. Best rate in the league.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll tell you though, I may actually have less interest in the San Antonio Spurs than I do in Memphis. But that's not saying a lot, right? That if I could answer 2, I'd throw both of them out there. It's a shame that Valanciunas doesn't get to run. He's just such a good fantasy player. He's so good. He's got 18 points, 12 rebounds, 18-13 over his last 2 games, in which he combined to play 50 minutes and still dropped, what is that? He dropped 79 fantasy points in 50 minutes combined. He's awesome. But I can't rely on those minutes again on a day where the center position is loaded. Jaren Jackson Jr., as we call him, Jaren Jackson Jr., has done a better job of staying out of foul trouble, but his price has come up $700 on DraftKings at least since the last time he was popular and put up 31 fantasy points, 69 on FanDuel. That's a little bit prohibitive there. Yeah. So, I want to do our due diligence and break everybody down here, but I'm not sure, especially as you pointed out, in a slow-paced matchup against an elite defense, that I'm going to get to anybody.
Yep. This is basically an empty game for me. Similarly, on the Utah side, I mean, Gobert, Mitchell, Conley, and Bojan will work their way into 5 to 10% of my lineups, but no one stands out. I'm not really interested in grabbing a lot of these guys. I just really don't want any part of this game. This is in the Orlando-San Antonio bucket unless people get ruled out.
I hear you. I'm cool on Donovan Mitchell, sure, but for me, that's more of I think Mitchell's probably very low owned. And then certain guys at his position are going to come in at similar price points being a lot more popular. So I think you'd agree if, Donnie Mitchell comes in at like 4 or 5%, that could be a decent spot to target in a big time pace up matchup. 99.9 possessions per 48 for the Jazz this season, 105.5 for the Grizz, 111 defensive rating places them 26th in D this season. So there are a lot of reasons to think that, Mitchell could have himself a very solid game. I just don't know. Do we have updated ownership?
Nope.
I didn't think so. I don't know. What do you think? He probably comes in around like 5-7%.
Yeah, I don't expect him to be getting much ownership here. And he looks fine. Like it, if somebody gets extreme around his price tag, he's a very natural swap in a GPP lineup. But nothing is going to be popping for anyone from the Jazz today unless someone gets ruled out.
Right. And you know what? If Westbrook plays, are you really going Brogdon over, or are you going Mitchell over Brogdon? Likely not. Over Westbrook. You like Brogdon a lot. Yeah. We'll get to D'Angelo Russell at his price point momentarily. There are so many nicely priced point guards and shooting guards.
Yeah. On that note, I guess I could leave that unpaused. That'll be fine. Perfect opportunity for you all to hit the like button. It helps us out tremendously. We saw massive increases in our likes over the last week, so we really appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live, because we're going live constantly, especially on Fridays. So we have NFL Strategy Show coming up after this. That's it's Randone and Manny Laura. God, I'm already feeling like it's Saturday.
I hear you, man.
At noon Eastern time, we'll have the Awesome Odds betting show. Ben Rossa, Jordan Frank, potentially Nolan. I'm not entirely sure if he's on or not. They'll be making their NFL picks, making some Survivor picks as well. Yahoo Strategy Show with Alex and Nolan at 1 o'clock. Jake will have his NHL Strategy Show at 4 p.m. No Lofty on the deeper dive today. That will be the boss man, Alex Baker, in front of the paywall for you guys, going live with Adam at 6 p.m. Nope, 5 p.m. Eastern. These times are from yesterday. I didn't change them.
You're doing okay, but you're doing good. You're doing good.
8 o'clock lock just really screws me up for the next day.
I hear you.
But live before lock, 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern time, myself and Chris Spags will take you all the way to the promised land. Going to be a good one. And also, once again, shout out to the presenting sponsor, Yahoo Sports.
Word.
4 to go. And we've got 34 minutes to do it.
We're doing good.
We're doing good for us. Yeah.
Well, I think to be fair, we spent a ton of time on Houston, Indy, as we should have.
Yep.
And then on games like San Antonio, Orlando, Utah, Memphis, we did the proper amount of time.
Thank God that those 2 games sucked, because we needed it.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
Minnesota Timberwolves, Washington
I love this
Wizards.
game.
123 implied total for the Wolves, 116.5 for the Wiz. Highest implied total on the slate. No Shabazz Napier. Everything else should be good to go for Minnesota. Karl Anthony Towns is 11-4 on FanDuel, 10K on DraftKings. And very interesting to me, your boy, Andrew Wiggins, 9K on FanDuel, 8,300 on DraftKings. Who knows if this gentleman is turning the corner or not?
He is.
Jeff Teague, 5,300 on DraftKings, I think is viable. Bobby Covs is a guy that you can play on a day-to-day basis. Towns is the guy that I want the most here.
Yeah, I like to. There's a tweet here by Tim McMahon. Grizzlies believed refs disrespected Mike Conley because he was so nice. Jazz teammates are jokingly plotting to get him teed up.
He's never been teed up in his life, right?
Has he never been teed up?
He has never been teed up in the NBA.
That's crazy.
And I'm pretty sure that he's never been teed up ever.
No, you're right. Listen, there's a long line of offers to pay the first fine, and it disappeared. Nevertheless, it says his perfect technical record. So yeah, you're right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know he'd never been teed up. Wow.
Never.
I like Towns though a lot. 10K on DraftKings is just too cheap.
Yep.
He hasn't really had a great game since those first two of the season where he went for 74 and 82, right? He's actually had a string of disappointing games outside of that 60 fantasy point game against the Nuggets, but you're going to be hard pressed to find anything you don't like about Towns here. You have a slate high and by a huge margin, 239.5 total. That's 14 points higher than the next closest game, Rockets and Pacers. So implied total for the Timberwolves is 123, Josh, 7 points higher than the next closest, which is the Wizards. This game is just really, really fantasy friendly. Towns is 28% usage guy, 22% assists, 19% rebounds, 4% blocks. Just phenomenal numbers across the board. I have no problem getting back here. Foul trouble in one or two of those games, blowout in one of them, didn't play the amount of minutes he would have, probably would have got to 60 had he stayed on the court last time. There's nothing not to like. Now, I've been saying this for a little while now that I do believe Andrew Wiggins is finally turning a corner after 5 or whatever years. I do. However, that doesn't mean that at this price tag, I'm excited to roster him. And once again, because of all the depth at point guard and shooting guard, he has shooting guard eligibility on DraftKings. And then on FanDuel, you've got Wiggins with shooting guard eligibility as well. That price is a little bit restrictive for me, and I probably look elsewhere.
Yeah, but, I won't have him.
Yeah. If Teague comes off the bench again, I wouldn't blame you for paying for him on DraftKings. But even so, I don't think there's any way I get to that price point as much as I love what he's been doing as a playmaker.
I can't play Wiggins ahead of Russell Westbrook at 8,400,
no,
Bradley Beal at 85, or Drummond at 86, or Kemba at 82, or D'Angelo Russell at 8K. All of those guys to me are significantly better fantasy players for today.
He has been awesome now.
He has been better, yes.
He's been great, actually, Josh.
He has been better, yes.
You can't admit that he's been great?
I don't think that he's been great, no.
How?
Pretty easily.
Really? Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, they're 3 since they're what? 3-4 over their last 4, or 3-1 over their last 4. He's dropped 30 plus points in 3 of the 4, 25 in the other. Shooting 50+% from the field in all of one of them, all but one, 46% shooting in the other. 3-point shooting, been a little bit streaky, but still some really solid performances.
He's shooting 29% from 3. Let's not act like he's streaky of anything. The streaks in his underwears.
I'm talking about recently, but yeah, I hear you.
It's 11 games. The whole damn season's recently.
He's shooting 36% from 3.
Oh, I have frequency in front of me. I'm a moron. He's shooting 37% from 3. I should shut up.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Free throw shooting could improve, but dude, he's averaging 15 potential assists per game over his last 4 games. I just think that Andrew Wiggins is more comfortable handling like a playmaker role, and yeah.
So maybe, highly recommend. Zach Lowe did a podcast yesterday, or that dropped either yesterday or overnight or something, with Howard Beck. They dig into quite a bit about Andrew Wiggins. Obviously improvement. I'm not disagreeing with any part of that. Not as wild as it seems on the underlying stats. The playmaking is happening more from a volume perspective than a true leap, but he is doing more playmaking. But they had like a pretty good 5 to 10 minute section on Wiggins, and I thought it was really interesting. I actually listened.
I might take a listen.
Yeah,
it was
good.
But keep in mind, I only care about volume.
Oh, 100%, 100%. So how he's been as an NBA player and how he's been as a DFS player are two different conversations.
Oh, I'm talking fantasy.
Yeah. And I am mostly talking real life.
Got you. I think he's played. No, to be clear, I don't want to sound like I'm backtracking. I think he's played really well lately. But when I say he's been amazing or whatever word I used, from a fantasy perspective, at the salary we were getting him at, he has been crushing and is certainly helping you win tournaments with some of these games when you were getting him at 6,600 and 7,100.
100%. We are on the same page there.
Yeah, I got you then. Okay, that makes sense.
Let's see. What do we got here? Yeah, the Towns. That's either way. I can't pay $9K for Andrew Wiggins.
No, me neither.
Regardless,
I do love those 36 to 40 minutes in regulation per game, though.
For sure. I mean that goes away if Teague is back.
Yeah,
the true minutes upside goes away when they actually have their point guards. It'll
be very interesting to see, will Teague take a hit and play off the ball more because he's a decent 3-point shooter when Wiggins is out there? That'll be very interesting to keep an eye on.
Going to be a really key piece of this offense over the next couple days.
For sure.
Wizards side, big time pace up spot. Bradley Beal playing big minutes as per usual. 9,300 on FanDuel, 8,500 on DraftKings, 39 on Yahoo. I like Beal quite a bit, but the guy that I'm most interested in is probably Thomas Bryant. 6,800 on FanDuel, 6,100 on DK, $26 on Yahoo. Am I just too crazy on Thomas Bryant?
No, I don't think you are. A matter of fact, I don't think that's a crazy idea at all. He was in foul trouble last game, if I recall correctly, and still got to 29 minutes. So that's good. And he's just played really well at the 5 this year. Again, the game's got a 240 over under, man. Wizards second highest total on the slate. Karl Anthony Towns is a good rebounder, but he's not stopping you around the basket, at least not solo. So, I'm okay. Bryant wasn't. Yeah, he was, but only he missed. He lost probably 3 minutes or so in this game to foul trouble. I'm with you though. No arguments here whatsoever. I think Thomas is a really solid option here. I like this game a lot. I like Isaiah Thomas too, man.
Minutes are up. 32 and a half and 28 and a half over the past 2. I gave him 28 today just because I don't know how well he's going to be rebounding from big minute games.
Right.
But even at 28, he's a value play for me. He's an even better value on DraftKings where he's $5,300. He's $14 on Yahoo. All of that looks really good to me. That Yahoo price is the best in the industry. I had no problem with that Isaiah Thomas shout.
For sure. If you project him for 30 minutes, you're going to get a ton of him. Put it that way.
Absolutely. Thomas Bryant is 0.07 of a point per minute behind Bradley Beal this season.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He's one of my best plays of the day. He's very clearly my top center.
He's your top center on the entire slate?
At least on FanDuel. That won't even be close unless I have to make major changes.
Okay.
If I look on DK, I assume it's the same. Yeah, it's the same on DraftKings. 6,100.
I didn't get as much on DraftKings, but a lot of that is because of some centers that we haven't even discussed yet. But obviously a lot of Towns, so a good amount of Drummond, and there's I think two more guys that we'll talk about. So We'll get there. But I like Thomas Bryant, no question. I like Isaiah Thomas. Bradley Beal, the question that comes into play is simply, are you all right getting there over, and then rattle off a list of guys that are priced very similarly to him in very good spots? I think it's okay. But Bradley Beal on some slates in this matchup would be a priority. In this one, he's just a good play.
Yeah, I mean, you're never upset when you get more Bradley Beal in your lineup. It's like he's just a guy that you want. Some days you get lucky and he has a cheap salary.
What are you doing with Troy Brown?
Playing a little bit of him because he's 4K on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Like if he plays 27 minutes again, great. I've got him in for 24. He is a value option that I'm not like terribly enamored with, but you don't really have much of a choice. He's the best value small forward on FanDuel.
Just a very early crunch. I did get a little bit of Troy Brown on DraftKings.
Okay.
Again, like the total of this game and the pace of this game has to be considered when you're looking for potential value. I mean, the Wizards have the second worst defensive rating in the entire league, and they're playing at the 7th fastest pace. The Timberwolves defensively have been decent, right 14th, right middle of the league, but they're playing at the 4th fastest pace. So this game is just going to be a track meet.
Yeah. I have Minnesota projected for 3 more possessions than they're normally getting. I have the Wizards 6 additional possessions compared to their normal. This is going to be big time pace up spot for both teams.
Yep.
All right, 3 to go, 22 minutes. I think we're doing okay. Oklahoma City and Philadelphia 76ers. Thunder 106.25 implied total. Sixers 109.25. Start on the Oklahoma City side. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for 5,900 is. I mean, it's got to be paid attention to, right? That is just a price that's too cheap for someone that is fully involved. He hasn't been outstanding, basically a point per minute guy, but minutes were down in the last one, but he was playing 36, 36, 34, 36, 35, 35. We've got him in for 35 minutes. 35 minutes at 5,900 is value.
Yeah. I'm not enamored with him, but I have him as a pretty decent value.
Yeah.
Just looking at like point per dollar value, I think I have him in the top 15 or so. So,
okay. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Hachimura, do you like him today for Washington? I forgot that.
I assume no, but
okay. I have him as a decent value here.
I don't not like him, but he's just one of those guys that you end up with. Right. If you have 50 guys in your player pool, his exposure is somewhere in the 35 to 50 range. Not like in percent, but in like sorting that.
I feel like I'm going to have a lot of, they just ended up in my lineup players from Washington, Minnesota, again, because of the conditions of that game. But
for sure.
Yeah, SGA, no problem with him. I don't love him though. I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers, despite at times not looking whole, and they haven't. Their starting 5 has played 1 game together this season, so let that sink in. But they're still one of the better defenses in the league. They're still limiting opponent, and I think this isn't a huge deal for him, but limiting opponent rebounding to the lowest in the entire league. Limiting assists to the second fewest assists in the league. Of course, they're giving up a lot of steals because somehow Brett Brown hasn't taught this team ever how to hold on to the ball. It's atrocious. But just in total, this is not a very good matchup.
Not so much. I'll have some SGA just because of the pricing. I probably need to take a look at his rates to see if they're still staying up from the early season success. But 5,900 on DraftKings is just a benefit. It's the best price he has across all of the sites. A little bit of Paul is fine. I think a little bit of Schroeder on FanDuel is fine. But there's not a lot to like for Oklahoma City against one of the 3 best defenses in the league.
Yeah, and to be clear, SGA clearly my favorite play from this game on DraftKings at 59, as you pointed out. At 5,900, clearly my favorite play. Priority, no, but I assume I'll have a decent amount of him just based on how dirt cheap he is.
Right. Yeah. It's 5,900 just becomes too much to ignore for a guy that is playing. Like full stop, he's getting those minutes.
Yep. Initial crunch 20%.
There you go. On the Philly side, I don't think that anybody really stands out. I like Embiid a lot at 9,200. How many minutes does Joel Embiid play is a pretty interesting question. Played 35 on Tuesday. Lots of 20s, lots of 35s. He bouncing around a lot. I gave him 32. He's clearly a value, clearly a guy I want to have. I don't see anything from Philly as a priority spot.
Me neither. I think Embiid is a good play. I've got to say though, and it pains me to admit this, he has not been very good in difficult matchups. Now teams bring a lot of doubles, but he turns the ball over in those situations. He struggles to pass out of double teams. It's been an issue for a couple of years now. Um, he's still dominant, and he's still going to get to the line at a crazy amount. But yeah, he has struggled in spots where you would expect him to be better. This is a tough matchup with Adams, and the Thunder are committing some of the fewest fouls in the league in terms of free throw attempts allowed, the fifth fewest. That does matter to me because Embiid relies on getting to the line, but he can also get literally any player in the league in foul trouble.
Yep.
Fouled Rudy Gobert out a couple games ago. It doesn't matter who you are. He can wreak havoc in the paint, in that post. So I still think it is price tag. Joel Embiid is very respectable, but I'm not expecting him to shoot, 50%. He probably shoots like, 7 for 21, but gets to the line a lot and brings in 15 rebounds.
Yeah, I'm clearly going to have him, particularly on DraftKings. Like 9,200 is just, he can blow that thing out of the water.
Yep.
But it's not some sort of crazy value that you can't get enough of.
No, I think we're on the same page here. I will say though, because his minutes have been limited in certain spots, and there've been a couple of games where he wasn't needed late in it.
Yeah.
It's important to realize that fantasy points per game is not telling you the story. He's been a 1.72 fantasy point per minute producer this year. That's a really, really good mark.
It's a very good mark. Do you want to know how good it really is?
Go ahead.
He has the second highest FanDuel points per minute in the league this season of anybody that's played north of 100 minutes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like, he's been really, really, really good from a fantasy standpoint.
Towns is 200ths of a point behind him. Kawhi right there. Harden right there. The most ridiculous piece of all of this. Giannis has played 165 more minutes than Embiid. He's at 1.87. Embiid at 1.65. That is...
Yeah, it's Giannis does not become less efficient with more minutes.
No. He's playing at a stupid high rate.
Can you imagine having a 35% usage rate, 20% assist rate, and 20%? I'm sorry.
This is where we get into trouble because now we're talking about Giannis with 2 games to go in 15 minutes.
I apologize. Let me just tell you.
I did it too.
I know. 35% usage, 35% assists, 21% rebounding. He's a 30-30-20 guy. It's nuts.
Yeah, he's so damn good.
He's incredible. And he's actually hit some 3-pointers recently. Imagine if he starts knocking down threes.
Speaking of guys that don't shoot threes, Ben Simmons, I'm relatively uninterested in. I'll have a little bit of Horford. I don't really have anything for Philly here.
Massive disappointment for Simmons right now. I cannot continue to watch him barrel down the court in transition with a head of steam. Obviously have everything it takes to split the defenders or just get right through him to the basket. And he stops at the top of the key and kicks it out. It's crazy, man. Like the lack of initiative and the failure to assert himself as a scorer has really crushed his fantasy value.
Man, what could they get for? We can't get into this. We don't have time. What could they get for Ben Simmons if they trade
defensively?
him?
He's been awesome, and he's still a good passer, still a good rebounder. His defense, he's looked crazy good, but I don't know. I don't honestly. I got to stop talking about it because it gets me fired up, and I'll take up the rest of the show doing it.
Golden State Warriors, Boston Celtics, Santa Cruz Warriors, Boston Celtics. Santa Cruz Warriors 108.75 implied total. Celtics 116.75. I'm willing to play D'Angelo Russell. 9,100 on FanDuel, 8K on DK, $39 on Yahoo, and the only guy with any ability on the team to dictate offense. Draymond is 5,300 on DraftKings. I don't understand how you could possibly get away from that. I like Alec Burks for 4,500 on FanDuel. None of these guys make me terribly excited outside of Russell and Green. But, God, this is scary. Tough matchup against the number 1 offense in the league, Boston Celtics.
Yeah, you don't say. I mean, I still like D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
He's powered through some tough matchups. He had the Lakers. He played 31 minutes, but still 21-8. Utah 33-8. OKC 30-7. That's a tough matchup. Minnesota, a good matchup, 52-9-5. 30-8 against the Spurs when you know that Popovich does everything he can to eliminate the opposing team's top player, and they didn't have anyone other than Russell. Like he's been good, and I still think that this volume should be enough for me to take interest in him because he's not expensive. You would think Russell would be a lot more expensive than he is for a guy with 33% usage rate, 38% assist rate, and just a ton of opportunities offensively per game. But that's not the case.
No, it's not. And oh God, this is the trickiest team in the league to try to project, isn't it?
It's very difficult. Very difficult. Yep.
I mean,
Wait till we get to Draymond, right?
I mean, Draymond's easy, right? You just play him at 5,300.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, I guess, but something that I think I mention it every damn time. Without guys like Curry and without guys like Thompson, it does not make him better. It makes him worse. But at this price, I don't really think it matters, would be the point.
I don't think it matters at all.
And by worse, maybe honestly, I could be wrong. Like maybe per minute wise, he goes up a little bit, but it's a very small sample of having everybody off the court. He's a playmaker. He's not someone that's going to create his own shot though. And he's not bringing the ball up the court frequently like a D'Angelo Russell. So he relies on good players to get him fantasy production. And there's just nobody there.
No. Again, so far in the season, Draymond, essentially a point per minute. Going to play 30 minutes. Like he's $5,300. You guys got to remember, these guys have salaries. You're not playing Draymond at $8K like he was last year.
5,300 is ridiculous. And that's why anything we say here doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah. No, you just play him.
By the way, Josh, 38% usage for Russell since Steph Curry went down. 1.57 fantasy points per minute, 38% assists. Of course, the Minnesota game skews things, but he's been really, really good with 38% usage since Curry went down.
I might have to sneeze again. I got one off there.
Nice.
Before you pitched it back to me. But I got one jammed up there. Oh. I've got quite the beak. So
just stare at the sun.
There's no sun, man. I never see the sun.
You look like you're in the sun.
I'm on the sun.
And you've got a Suns hat on.
Kind of. The game just happened to be in Phoenix.
Oh, it's that one.
But it's the All-Star Weekend hat.
You guys that are new to the show, remind Josh one day when we have time to show you his killer All-Star jacket that he has.
I can see it right now hanging in the closet.
I think Willie Cauley-Stein is very much in play here as well.
Yeah, 4,700. Again, these guys are just too cheap. He should see 24 minutes. On the Boston side, if Robert Williams plays, he's 3,600 on FanDuel. I'm very interested in that. Outside of that, little bits of Kemba, Tatum, Brown, Smart, but I don't have a lot that I like from the Boston Celtics here today.
Yeah, not a ton of interest for me either. I will say, well, actually, you mentioned Williams, but is Daniel Tice remains questionable as well, right?
I believe.
Pretty sure he does.
So.
Or he is.
I have him in. So
Do you?
There's that, but
if you
yes, he is questionable. So yeah, I have him in.
Okay, so he's still questionable. If both of them don't play, let me just ask you first with Enes Kanter, still below 5K on DraftKings, 25 minutes last time out, gets a spectacular matchup with Golden State.
Yeah.
Do you have interest there?
Absolutely. I don't really need him if both guys are in. Even if one of those guys are out, he probably gets to like 24 minutes and you want to have him.
If both of them are out, he might be one of my top values on the entire slate.
Absolutely. But yeah, if Robert Williams is in, FanDuel $100 north of the minimum, that's the pay down center option. I'd much rather have him than Tyson Chandler.
For sure. And I don't disagree with that at all. I think Tatum is fine. he's been, pretty pedestrian recently, but the minutes are going to be there. The matchup is as good as it gets. He's still getting up a ton of shots. He's still seeing opportunities as a passer, and he's rebounded well. So no issues with Tatum, but certainly not a top option of mine.
Yeah. Again, the Boston guys are just guys I'll rotate through. Final game. Lakers and Kings. 114 implied total for the Lakers. 103.5 for the Kings. AD, I assume, is just going to be back and fine. He's 11-8 on FanDuel and 9,600 on DraftKings. So there's that. LeBron, 11-6 on FanDuel, 10-8 on DK. I don't really, if both of those guys are playing, I don't really have any interest in the rest of the Lakers. But boy, oh boy, Anthony Davis for 9,600 certainly looks tasty.
Very tasty. I don't really have anything else to say on Anthony Davis outside of there's just simply no reason he should be this cheap. Compare him up to LeBron, and while LeBron's having statistically a better season, it certainly isn't by much. Anthony Davis could rattle off a 40-20 game as we saw earlier this year, and you wouldn't bat an eye. So that price is outrageous. I don't factor blowouts into my actual projections and analysis, but the only concern you would have here, again, not that you can do anything about it, but the only concern is that this game is over by halftime.
For sure. The Kings aren't great. 103.5 implied total for the Kings.
Lowest on the slate.
Yeah. I had them separated by a quarter of a point for the Grizz, but either way, 3 teams very low. Kings are one of them.
Yeah.
LeBron for 11-6 and 10-8 is just, he's not priced down like everyone else. Is kind of just the problem here.
Right. I said the same thing to this or last night on the early bird. I don't think he's poorly priced, but like James Harden, they're both accurately priced. Yeah. And with so many guys that aren't accurately priced and are underpriced, it takes some shine off of them.
Yeah. I don't have anything new to say about it. Just AD, DraftKings, that's the spot.
Yeah.
If
you wanted to play LeBron James, I'm not going to hate on that at all.
No, he ends up in lineups for sure. On the Kings side, 6,500 for Rashawn Holmes on FanDuel, 5,800 on DraftKings. He's probably the guy that I have the most interest in. I'm not sure that I'm going to be getting to a ton here. Corey Joseph got the price bump, so he's not really something I'm interested in. Buddy Hield is viable, I guess, but not a single player on Sacramento that I am projecting to play in this game has a 1 or higher fantasy points per minute on FanDuel this year. 0.99 for Rashawn Holmes is the high. I like Holmes, but that's about it.
I don't like really anything here.
Yeah.
I really loved Bogdanović the other day. And the reason being that he is clearly the guy he is the one that is best suited to take over De'Aaron Fox's role in this offense, right?
For sure.
But I cautioned against this the other day, saying Buddy Hield's a fine play, but he's nothing special because you're never going to get Buddy Hield initiating the offense. You're never going to have him, right, controlling the ball in the half court up on every possession. Bogdanović is actually a good playmaker. And he's he's good at directing traffic. He's got good court vision too. So I really, really like his role right now with Fox out. But the problem is, how do you get to that price point? That's the biggest issue here. The other day, he was my top option on the slate. Today, he'd be a tournament play at best because his price is skyrocketed.
I like that dude. It's a shame he's not going to be on the Kings next year.
Where do you think he's going to go?
Anywhere but the Kings. I can't imagine they're going to retain him. They've got too much money wrapped up in everybody else. That's neither here nor there. This is a really rough spot. 10-point dogs. Not exactly opportune pricing. Really low implied total. Lakers defense has been fantastic. I'm just out on this one. And we are done. We are done. 3 minutes to spare. Be able to start this NFL strategy show with Randone and Manny right on time. So here's what we've got.
We're getting good.
Please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We've got a ton of content coming up throughout the rest of the day. Shout out to Yahoo Sports, our presenting sponsor. Laffy, do you have anything else?
Nah. I got the rest of the day off. Got to go down to the courthouse for something. Yeah. Public intox and indecent exposure. But no, I'm kidding, of course. Got to go down there for some probate stuff. So I got the rest of the day off. Maybe I'll grab a chicken sandwich from Popeyes on my way. Really make it worth it, Josh. But I'll be on Sirius XM tomorrow, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern with Manny Laura, 7 to 9 on Sunday, recapping everything from Week 11 and following live action throughout the rest of the 4 p.m. games. It's Sirius 210 XM 87, and I'll be back on the Deeper Dive NFL Sunday morning with Alex Baker and Ben Rasa. Close us out, fella.
That's all I've got. Thank you for joining us. We love you guys. Good luck tonight. We'll talk to you later.